I love hip hop and I love the Wu Tang. I know I don't look like the type who likes hip hop and the Wu Tang, but I do, and I'll fight any man that says otherwise. How much do I love hip hop and the Wu Tang? This is how much I love hip hop and the Wu Tang. So I love ODB so much that I'm going to paint a portrait of ODB on this here wall. I'm going to film the entire process, everything, exactly how I do it. I'm not trained, never went to art school. I kind of had to figure this out through YouTube videos, making things that didn't look particularly great until they started to look marginally better. Because if you'd seen some of my early portraits, like, genuinely I'm just a big hairy guy with spray paint. So I could be totally wrong, but this is how I do it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to doodle grid. For anyone that isn't familiar with doodle gridding, I used to grid. So a grid is, I would bring a 2-foot spirit level and I would 2-foot squares. At home, I would take the portrait and I would use an app called Grid and I'd put the squares down. And I would use that as a reference for drawing faces because I'm not a classically trained artist. Sometimes you end up with a nose that looks much bigger than an eye, goes a bit kind of Picasso. And I used the grid for a long time, but I then seen another YouTuber, another artist called 1000 and Smone Over using the doodle grid, and it works so much better. I'll show you how to doodle grid. That's the moral of this tale. I'm going to show you how to doodle grid. Can you guess what was under this black square? Can you guess? I painted over it for obvious reasons, because this is for kids. Because Wu Tang is for the children. That's why I painted over that, because Wu Tang is for the children. Doodle grid. The first thing you do for a doodle grid is doodle, just draw things the size that you want to make it. So comfortably, I can reach here. There's some debris I could probably use as a makeshift ladder. It's just doodles. Doodle grids up, just a bunch of nonsense. It doesn't really matter what it is. I've went over some of the black just with white so that you can see the details of the photograph once you start blending two layers together. Adobe Photoshop Max. Start a new project. For the camera, I'm just going to take a photo of the wall. Then this wee add from device, there's my ODB picture. Layer this over the top, hit blend. You can set it to whatever way you want, like when overlay, soft light, there's all different ones, whatever works for you. If I use this darken and I just bring it down a wee bit, like that, I can see a lot more of the detail in there. Let's just save the gallery, and there we go. So there's my wall, ODB, Photoshop mixed over the top, and you can see the different points of reference. So it's like the corner of that smile is where the eye comes in, the eye comes up to here. So there's a lot more points of reference in a grid, and to be honest, I prefer working like this now. So, when it comes to picking colours, I like to, I don't know if there's an app you can use to posterize stuff on your phone. I do this in Photoshop, and when I posterize it, it allows me to see like how many tones I need. So it's easier for me to pick colours, but I can see all the incidental tones, would that be the right word? The increments between the tones, and that's it. So now I'm going to sketch it up. You can't handle me at my worst. You don't deserve me at my best. I read a quote on the internet that Marilyn Monroe once said, you can't handle me at my worst. You don't deserve me at my best. You can see I've started to sketch up using just the points of reference in the doodle grid, but now I'm going to fill the background, because in hindsight I should have painted this white first, but I get too excited and I just want to, I do this all the time. Like I plan everything out, I plan the end, the middle, everything, and I miss out a massive big step right at the beginning. I should have brought down white paint and a roller and rollered that to make my life a lot easier. But I'm an idiot.
Whatever rolls honestly Monroe, foreign policy, how it all works. If you don't like drone strikes, you won't get Starbucks.
Jesus!
Right, so a wee bit about what I'm using. I sketched everything out using this. That's a grey dot skinny cap. But I've also got grade 1 and grade 2 caps from the Montana range. So that's really fine detail stuff. I've got the soft stock cap, which I like using for kind of bigger blends, that comes with the gold, and for big fills and New York fat. That's just the caps that I like to use. So as for my colours, this is the kind of tonal range that I've got for this. So from pure white to black, we've got coke, afro, something another, stealth, just all the way up. I probably won't all use all of them, but I just picked up every grey that I had. I've also got transparent black and transparent white, because sometimes when you need just like a kind of softer amount. I never used to use transparent colours because I thought they were rubbish, but I had an epiphany one day. I bought a can by accident and I decided to use it in a piece, and it was like the third eye. Changed my life. So you can see, as soon as you block out the kind of background, it starts to make so much more sense. When I paint, I'm sporadic in my movements. When I watch some people paint, they start like at an eye and they work their way out and they add the detail and they add the detail. I like to just do a little bit and a little bit patch work, and it builds up more for me, and it kind of keeps me motivated, because if I spend too long just looking at an eye and I walk back, I go, this is taking forever. Whereas if I do it like this, it looks like it's coming to life quicker. But that's just the way I work. There's no right or wrong answers. So yeah, I'm going to start filling. I'm going to probably, instead of starting with the black, start with the mid-tones just to begin with, to try and get rid of some of that horrible background. Should have brought a roller. One of the things I like to do is, like, see that bit of hair up here? Hair doesn't look like that ever. But what I like to do is I give a wee bit and then I just dab it with my finger. And it just softens the edge a wee bit. And then when you take a step back and you have a look, it starts to look more like hair. I do the same thing with, say, like facial hair or eyebrows and stuff. So the skinniest line I can get right now is with the grey dot. I have got the grade 1s, but I've not tried them yet. The nozzle of the cap is close to the wall as humanly possible, and don't push down all the way. Just a tiny wee will give you that. But what I like to do is, if I get a wee bit of paint loaded up just with my finger, I'll go through and soften it up. Another thing that I learned the hard way was, when you add white to stuff, it really makes it pop. So you get a bit happy and you just keep going, and then it loses its impact because of how much you've put up. Like when I started painting, I'd do the actual whites of the eyes white all the time, like straight white. Whereas if you look at it, it's more grey, and the white's actually in these wee reflections rather than this. So when I'm building up this eye, when I start to add in the softness of this part of the eyeball and stuff, and add in the white, when you stand back, it will really pop. So I think it's more a case of using the white sparingly rather than just. So I've only got a day to do this. If I wanted to get super duper hyper realistic and stuff, it would take a lot longer. But I've got stuff on at 5 o'clock. So it's what now? 10 to 1. It's 10 to 1. So I'm just going to keep going till I think it looks like ODB and then stop. That's it. And that's how I paint a portrait. So that's how I paint portraits, but if you do something different, let me know, because I just want to get better. I think that's all anybody really wants. If you found it interesting, hit me a like, give me a share, hit the subscribe button. If the tutorial thing works, I know it's not strictly a tutorial, but like, I'm quite happy sharing some of the stuff that I know so that other people can do it. I don't really know what to say, man. I'm tired now. That's the problem. You start strong, and then you get to this time of the day and you're like, another coffee, mouth tastes like mask. No, I don't know what to say. But I love ODB. Wu Tang's for the children.
That's good.
That alright?
Aye, that is good.